the league stage. I was really surprised when I learned actually he actually moved into the role of analyst. Now they got Godlish actually filling in for his role now. So I'm really intrigued to see how that's going to be pulling out the team, not only throughout these finals of the PMGC for 2020, but also like throughout the remaining section of like 2021 also. I'm just like...
We talk about, if you guys enjoy us during league phase, Max would always talk about how RQ Athena was so good when it came to Miramar. And the second he said that, they started to lose every single time on it. So every team correctly. That'll be split across all the winners. If you're that lucky one, 150K for watching some PUBG Mobile is not a bad way to get repaid back. But obviously you got to get your predictions in. You got to be correct for each match for that, but be correct for other matches when it comes to winning the AG or the UC. So make sure you guys get your votes in and make sure you guys continue to do that throughout the entire event for even more chances. But guys, going ahead into the rest of the teams we've had, Alpha 7, I'm curious to see if they're potentially going to be towards first place because of the results in that last match. And we can see here they did get themselves 6 kill points, which puts them to 14, which is actually the highest ranking team we have so far. But unfortunately, the placements we've been talking about, right? That marriage between placements and kills, only 3 points is not enough for them to even be in top 5.
And we always keep going back to that, Jason. You have to be able, yes, you're going to be able to be the top ranking team, but guess what? If you're only going to have 3 placement points, it's not going to be good enough, especially when you have teams like RIQ, 16 placement points and then 10 kills. That is huge for them. And then teams that I am going to be seeing too, something that I love to see there from that last match is we saw teams bounce back. One team that I do want to see bounce back again is Team Secret. They ended up leaving the match early, super early. I want to see something a little bit different. They are going to have a chance here going up again to Erangel. I want to see something different out of them. And also with Bigatron in 15th place. They do not. Oh, no. I'm pretty sure they're only scratching their heads. They're saying, what's going on? It is the first day, but...
But 7, so on that note, I completely agree. It's the first day, right?
Yep.
But Max, during league stage, during the final week, this is the same Bigatron we saw in the final Super Weekend. Not performing. This is where 4AM were able to claw back a 60-point gap deficit and then take themselves over 60 points in the lead. Bigatron need to show up.
The thing is, this was actually one of the first times in the league stage, just a month ago, they realized like our playstyle is now dated in a way. Like we need to adapt. We need to adapt to the meta. They still play, the edge of circle position, which has been working out for them for almost the entirety of 2020, right? And I was like, you know what? That's great. Keep it going. But it has not been working. They've been getting gatekept time and time and time again. It happened that game. They got gatekept by Nova. It happened also in the last game where they were getting gatekept in Ferry Pier on their angle when they tried to make it through, and there was like so many teams on the plateau they could just not make it through. So Bigatron, edge of circle, sure, it can work, but trying to commit to that playstyle every single game when sometimes you should just full send it center circle, it's just not going to work out. So I think that here Bigatron, after these 2 games, I'm going to say it, they need to change their playstyle. If they don't, I am not going to see them contesting like nowhere near top 3 right now.
Yep.
It would be massive shame, honestly, if that does happen. But another team I want to mention here that we did see a lot of momentum come out in the final days of the league play, Kanina Power. They've been a little bit quiet. The horses haven't woken up so far yet today.
Yeah, a little bit of a slow start for them at the end of the day. Like, which, Kanina Power, their team that usually they start a little bit slow, taking a chill, and then they just slowly build up that...
More of a trot.
Yeah, exactly. Just a little trot, and then they just gallop at the end into the finishing line. And I think that what they've been doing so far, they've been also gathering information, especially by Gonzo dying out to Zeus early on. I think that, like, on their Wrangle game, I think they were just trying to scout and get information, which, as long as the information rewards you as, like, just good drop spots, good rotations in, the next few days, then that's perfect, as long as you can make the most out of that information. But... Kanina Power, just a little bit of a slow start. I'm not too scared for them just yet.
I mean, the little caveat I will give here while we do head into our MVP is the fact that these are the 16 best teams in the world. Yep. Someone has to be at the bottom, right? It's just a fact. So while playing against these best teams, like just because you're maybe in 16th, 15th, 14th place, whatever it might be, doesn't mean you're a bad team. You know, it just means you didn't have the luck going your way that game. It means you didn't have the right call that game. Any one of these teams here can get a chicken dinner, can be first place at any given time. But let's take a look at our MVP of this last match here. It's becoming for Abrupt Slayers. It's going to be Joker coming in. Only 3 kills and 495 damage, but that is a lot of survival time.
It is, and that's kind of what you want to see out of an MVP, especially if your team is going to end up winning. You want to be able to see them survive a long time, and also the 3 kills with 495 damage. Hey, that's good to see too. It goes to show that you were actually willing, you were helping out your team, you were causing some more damage, and you ended up getting kills, and you love seeing that out of the MVP there in Joker. Now, something that I actually wanted to go back a little bit more was Class DA. I love the patience that Silas was able to show when they were going up against footballers, and in just waiting in the right moment and waiting for his teammate to kind of back him up. They knew that a player was inside a closet. They threw a Molotov and they kind of forced them out of that. And I love seeing plays like that. Anything tactical like that, I love seeing, especially the teamwork, right? He waited for his teammate to be there to back him up just in case something went wrong.
Yeah, I mean, just a few months ago, it was like grenades that got like nerfed really, really hard, and like the other utility like flashbangs, like Molotovs that slowly made their way back into the meta, and like using it like that to like force players away from their position is really good. But like I was seeing his like Joker there with his haircut, I'm realizing a lot of the players in this tournament got like white hair.
White
like
it's
a weird trend.
Well, I have white hair. Well, I guess it's technically gray. But anyways, moving ahead into our kills and damage in the last match, you can see the most damage was done actually by Nova XQF with the 2170 damage, and we have 3 teams on 8 kills. So again, as we said before, the way the points work, 1 kill, 1 point, and kills can mean a lot of your standings, a lot of money as well at the very end.
And something that I'm enjoying from Nova that we even saw in the last match was they were taking a fight with Bigatron, and then they decided to back off as soon as they noticed that, hey, we're just shooting, we're not getting any knocks. You know what? Let's just back off and let's go ahead and readjust, which ended up working out perfectly for them because they were able to position themselves in a better location, and they ended up getting, I believe it was King from Nova, ended up getting in a 1v1 situation with Luxy from Bigatron, and they ended up killing him. So love seeing those plays, love seeing, you know what, we really don't have to be aggressive here. There's someone's coming our way, let's reposition.
Yeah, it was actually also like mobile gamer of 2020, by the way, if you did not know. They're just sprinkling a little bit of information, but like not the game of that game, unfortunately. You did commit a little bit too far versus Nova.
Just built them up and then just chopped them right
just
down.
Like, oh, no, I'll drop you down on the ground. That's where you're going. But like, he did push a little bit too far, and I think that there was maybe a little bit of lack of synergy from Bigatron on that game, respectively. So hopefully that is something they can try and fix on the long run. But like, yeah, it feels good. RRQ up there. I'm going to say it, there you go. I'm saying it right now. RRQ, top 3 position. And you know what, like, hey, also, like, Dubai surrounded by desert, like, normally, no, this is a position, like, they don't have a good time on desert maps normally, but you know what? Here, they're showing up in big ways.
Oh, don't say it. Don't say it.
Don't say it.
I don't want you to jinx it now.
I mean, it's always going to fall back on me anyways, eventually. But looking at our top 5 players in terms of their respective stats in that game. Highest kills, of course, you know, Paraboy got himself 5 frags that game alone, mainly because of how they were just consistently fighting, entering through the eastern side. They were off to a great start.
And something that I wanted to point out in regards to longest travel, distance travel, would be, once again, is a 4 AM player. They've been enjoying the rotations. We kind of saw another rotation as well from Navi. We saw a west rotation. I want to see, with 4 AM, I feel like they had just such a great idea there, but they just took a little bit too long. And I wanted to go back to that with you, Max, because I feel like if they would have just kept, they pretty much, if they could have went from southwest to east, southeast, and then go up a little bit more, they would have just placed themselves in a perfect location. But instead, we saw S-Band just go in wild and crazy into a bunch of players, and it didn't end up working out their way.
The thing is, when you do such a wild rotation like that, that's when a moment where you got to keep in mind the time factor. And the fact is that rotation took so long to set up that the circle had time to shift away, and then they could not try and breach it through the eastern side, which is why they, at the end, tried to make it through Chumacera and went down.
And going based on time there, we saw another team in Navi do the exact same rotation, and something that we're talking about was that Navi take it on, they waited too long to actually get into position. They waited too long to actually get into the circle. They were far ahead in regards to where 4 AM was, and 4 AM was able to almost catch up to them. So hopefully we can see a little bit more of more pressure out of Navi in the future, especially if they're going to continue doing those west rotations.
Yeah, just being a little bit more snappy at the end there.
Yeah, crazy to see here as well. 260 throwables used on that last match.
Wow.
57 kills as well. I mean, obviously, you expect a really high number of kills, right? But we can also importantly see that, like, 15 revives. Now, obviously, we don't really see this number too often as like an overall statistic for a match, but in your guys' opinion, is that a lot or is that a little when it comes to these matches?
That's very little.
I feel like it's I feel like that's very, very little.
That means like kills have been confirmed heavily, which I think is a good thing, especially in Miramar, because normally like as a big map, you're gonna have teams very far away from each other. That means that fights would get initiated and would find closure really quickly. Which, when you think about it, the main reason why that was the case is because that terrain had so little compounds that you would always have an angle where even if you just got knocked, another team would just steal that frag away. That circle there was not the best in terms of like being able to find those revives because there was no good hiding spots.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw that from the Nova player trying to hide behind the airdrop. Just trying to find anything to hide behind. It's not going to end up working out. Luckily for them, A1 Esports, once again, I want to go back to that. They decided to just back off. They only shot him one time, kind of like a warning shot, back off. I wish he would have just kind of hold on to that fire button and kept on shooting. He would have definitely been able to knock them down, and I think it would have maybe gone a little bit different there for A1, even though, hey, their place is really good for them.
Yeah, and you know what? Things are heating up here in Dubai, but we're going to be heading to a short break while we get things ready for our next match here of the day. It's going to be off of Kendi, so things will be cooling down. It's going to be back with their commentators of John Allen and Blake.
One for glory. All our brothers in arms feel the fire. We're conquerors, never back down.
Kendi now, and I mean, I'm excited for it. This is probably one of my favorite maps during the PMGC. Not one of my favorite maps before this, though. I mean, I can appreciate the tactical nature of this map, but in PMGC, the way these teams play is so aggressive. Just absolutely fighting tooth and nail over these compounds all over the map at the moment. It's really good fun to watch, and you guys are sure to enjoy it at home. We've been told the game is ready very shortly, so I'm really excited to get into this one as soon as possible. Now, you mentioned Alpha 7 during our angle. I did. They stepped up a little bit there on Miramar. They had their moments, and they were shining. Unfortunately, those circles towards the end were just absolutely monstrous, to be honest with you. XQF tried to do the best they could with what little materials they were given. The loot boxes just not coming to bear, and honestly, A1 with Jax on that high ground. XQF, right?
No, I'm pretty sure I said A1. I'm pretty sure I said that.
They've got that A1 grading, you know.
Absolutely, that's what they want. Just like the cards that you can get over on Epic, on the Epic's cards, of course. For
Epics.gg.
Epics.gg. You can head over there and check out all the cards. If you get that A1, that's the first edition. It's just a number. It's just a number. But A1,
but it
that's
means
pretty
so
cool.
much more.
That's pretty cool. It definitely does. If you get an A1, I would say that would be Super Poggers.
I thought you were going to say that would be A1. And I was like, well, that would really, you know, just bring everything together. But, you know, that would just be Super Poggers.
There's a few things in.
We've not seen that from them in a little while, so you would think that, you know, the rest of the maps are all pretty good for them. They seem to know what they're doing, so they've spent this short break being like, what is going on Miramar? And they seem to have fixed a lot of the problems that were shown to them, and they've managed to get their way into that. So I think a lot of times they're getting caught out on rotates, but here we go. Match number 3, heading to the skies. We've got our beautiful little arena here as well to show it as it happens.
Did you just call it little?
It's a small one, isn't it, really?
It's very, very small.
Look how tiny it is.
Goodness
Just
me.
like Vikendi.
What is this, an arena for ants?
There are at least a dozen of us in here. Oh, do that now.
Yeah, exactly. Fantastic stuff. Plane path cuts straight down the middle. Bottom left, top right. Very, very simple for everybody trying to get anywhere. Double Ernesto, very accessible. Early drop, you can drive out there. That's going to be fine. Places like Port that might be a little bit inaccessible, but even so, you can get that, you can loot up. Very, very favourable for pretty much everyone.
Yeah. We've got a beautiful little graphic on the screen here as well for you guys at home, so you can keep up to date with everything that is going on during the tournament. Nova XQF Paraboy over there with 5 kills in 3rd place for the top 5 fraggers of the tournament. Now, that does not surprise me. Regardless of what's happened in PMGC, this guy has always stepped up as a huge fragging member for this team. He really is that glue that pulls the rest of the players together. But look at that over on the overall rankings. RRQ in 2nd place and Abrupt Slayers with 1st on 26 points. Bloody hell, John. Abrupt Slayers are really stepping it up. That's momentum that they wanted.
Absolutely. RRQ tied, of course, in that spot with 26 points. It's very, very tight, and that's what I was talking about early on in that last game, remember, Blank, where I said the top 3 teams from that first game had dropped down early.
Exactly.
Right.
I mean, just looking at that as well, John, to be honest with you, when you take a look there, Abrupt Slayers are in number 1 place because obviously they've had a chicken dinner, which is the tiebreaker there for these teams. And to be quite honest with you, those chicken dinners are going to come in mighty handy because you don't have that many games here this tournament, only 24, so you want to try and get as many as possible on board just in case you do get the tiebreaker at the top. It is a huge discrepancy between the 1st place and the 2nd place prize.
Certainly is. It's nothing to turn your nose up at. 700k, that'd be pretty great. 7,000 or whatever it is. I have to double check on the exact number, but that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money indeed. And I mean, look, you guys at home, you've given another 1 million today in terms of viewership. We broke that so easily. Again, a massive thank you to all you guys at home who are staying safe and watching some beautiful PUBG Mobile esports. We've got Hasaki up on the screen there. 167 meter. Longest distance kill, 3 kills total. He's doing pretty well. He was really stepping up for the team a lot of times. And this guy's the type of guy that plays in the back for this team, pokes out, hits those off-angle shots, and comes back in again. He really does that job very well for this team.
Yeah.
I think 4AM, though, they perform best when they have those 4 players on board because their teamwork is phenomenal.
Absolutely. I think it's, you know, one of the best, certainly in the lobby. Sinister, a little bit forwards, and against Alpha 7, we've seen how strong they are on the frag. But will he be able to shut down a little bit? Goes for the spray on the Darcia, but they get the better of him.
Really?
Sinister falls down early. A beautiful crash from Alpha 7, and there's a reason that these guys have got so many kills flanked. There's a reason that they have the top fragger in the tournament so far over the last 2 games, and it's first blood for Mafioso.
You know, I had a little chat with Law, actually, before this tournament started. He's such a sweet guy as well. He's like, okay, I will try my best in the tournament. I'll do my best, guys. And you know what? He absolutely is doing. This guy is fragging out of his mind this game, this tournament, in fact, as we head into the third map of this whole PUBG Mobile Global Championship Finals. Really good stuff from them, and you don't see that very often. That's quite a difficult thing to pull off, where you're crashing into a compound and through a window.
Representing their region, fantastic for them to be able to come out swinging so strong. You can see Law there doing quite a lot for his squad, contributing a majority of the
Total damage for the team.
Of the total damage for the team. There you can see 40% of it coming from Law, and that's what you're talking about. This guy is a machine.
Absolute mad stuff coming out from this guy. But the rest of the game shall take a little while to get started. Most teams having to head down towards the southeast here. You don't tend regardless of what happens, we're going to have an interesting finish.
Absolutely. And this is, if this circle is anything, this is a Moustache Dave circle.
This is a Moustache Dave.